villain of the story is naturally a super important person. Let's talk about the villain trope and what to do with your villain character. Well, they often need to have a personality and skill to be their fullest version of themselves. Often, they are self-absorbed people who don't care about anyone but themselves. For example, some of the villains have money, like Cruella, or have slaves for themselves, like Dr. Facilier. Or they manipulate the protagonist, like Hannibal Lecter. In my opinion, power itself isn't needed to create a good villain, but their mind is so much more important. Why do they do the things they do? What do they want to earn? How do they act to get what they want? These are all super important questions when creating an antagonist. Sometimes the villains are monsters, and sometimes they are a normal person, a human being without any power. Now, the difference between them is huge. The monster type of character isn't lifelike, and due to this, they aren't as fun to hate as, for example, a regular Joe. There aren't many monster type of persons in real life, so this makes it less scary and it doesn't give you as much feelings as, for example, a hateable villain. They are more lifelike, and you can clearly image someone you know in real life as the character you see in media. There are more cunning, manipulative people in life than full of monsters, don't you agree? Also, try to get away from making them too edgy. I know it's fun to make, but it becomes stale really quick. The villains need to have some kind of conflict with the protagonist. They can try to do good, but they don't realize the error of their way, or they act because of selfishness. Both of them are good in my opinion, and it just really depends on what kind of type do you want your antagonist be. If you like my video so far, then make sure to like, comment and subscribe. I'm really grateful for my little audience and I can't wait to grow. Also, I'm sorry for my voice. I currently got some cold and that's why my voice sounds a little bit off. So I'm sorry. Anyways, back to the video. There are many tropes of characters that you can choose from, and almost all of them require a different angle when creating them. So, let's have a look at them. First, the classic villain is the old golden era of Disney. Scar, Ursula, Jafar, you get the point. They are ruthless, easy to understand characters with need and want for power. They are cunning and irredeemable individuals who often manipulate or sweetly talk themselves into the protagonist's ears. They shouldn't make any type of relationships in the whole story, and they don't need arc to develop themselves. That is a completely different character trope, which I'll talk about in a second. The number 2 type of villain is none other than the tragic villain. These are characters who the audience has more sympathy towards, and they generally have a backstory which tells you why they act like they do. They usually have a moral code, while the others don't really need it, and they usually change or grow as a person from beginning to end, which means they redeem themselves. First they did something bad, and they realize it, and now they want to do something good. Is basically that's what happens in this story. The third is the hateable villain. Now, this is absolutely my favorite type of villain. They are so fun to hate. If you want to create them, then making them as toxic as possible is the best. They usually get more negative traits than positive, and the higher they climb, the harder they fall. They get away with something that generally makes the audience mad, and the audience wants to see them get some kind of payback more and more as time goes on. That's why it was so satisfying when Heather from Total Drama got her well deserved karma. Or make them a sadistic beast, or an overpowered ruler, or these kind of things. Just try to be creative with this one. Um, I see most commonly some kind of bully person, like the hateable characters, some kind of joke or mean girl, and I actually don't really think that stereotypes really benefit some the villains. Like I get it that most of the jokes or mean girls are self-absorbed, but I wouldn't really call them this hateable villain or any kind of villain. And I think it's just a little bit overrated in my opinion, but that's for another day. Let's focus on the fourth villain type, which is the twist villain. Now, I kind of have a beef with this one because it's one of the hardest type to write because they need extra explaining things to do and some logical parts, and it's just where the story falls short in most cases. And there has to be something behind why they are trying to hide their true nature. For example, in Zootopia, Don Bellwether's reasoning was as bad as it can get. They really couldn't make a twist villain if their life depended on it. Or when out of nowhere Hans from Frozen decided to kill Elsa and Anna. I just don't really find them as entertaining and more of a reason that they need to have some kind of villain. So let's pick randomly. That's the feeling that I get from these kind of persons. The last type I want to mention is the anti-villain, or you can call it anti-hero as well. A character who has heroic goals, personality traits, but has the personality which is ultimately villainous. They could be the protagonist as well. They have a bit of an edge in their characters, they have more mean spirits in them, and they are more three-dimensional than the rest of the villain types. In my humble opinion, they are mean or have negative traits, but they mean well, even though they aren't what we should be. They aren't the role model for younger audience. It is also super important to not mix the tropes that much, because it's going to be potion full of things that will be explosive. It will totally kill the character, and sometimes making simpler characters are a good thing. Just please do not make them all over the place and give them character development. Please. In the Wish that old man was horrible, their ending is also super important as the whole character too. Some kind of dramatic ending makes the whole movie more enjoyable. If they are a bad breed, then they should have a satisfying payback to them, and the most common way is getting some kind of backfire, like the one that made them get what they want, the personality or the person who made them get higher in rank is the thing that kills them in the end, is super good in my opinion, and it just makes the whole story worth it, to see them suffer. Or it builds them up, so when they eventually fall, it's going to hurt them more. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. I hope I helped some of you with this video, and I gave motivation to make a unique villain. I was Cloud9, and I see you all in the next one. But until then, goodbye and have an amazing Christmas.